Wow, a part 3. And for part 3, we're going to take a look at number 5. And number 5 gives us this equation right here. Y equals x squared plus 3x minus 4. And we're going to divide that by the x squared minus x minus 6. Now, just like the one before, we are going to factor the top, and the bottom. We get x plus 4, x minus 1, and on the bottom we get x minus 3, x plus 2. And now if you notice in this one, nothing cancels. So that means we're not going to have any holes on this one. So when we sketch this one, first thing we got to do is get our domain. And the domain, x can't be, that's where the bottom can't equal 0, can't be 3, and x can't be negative 2. So we can go from negative infinity to negative 2, or from negative 2 to 3, or 3 to infinity. Now, because nothing canceled, again, there are no holes. So what that means is our domain restrictions are our vertical asymptotes. So we have 2 vertical asymptotes on this one. Okay? Now, next we're going to look for our horizontal asymptotes. To do that, we look at the degree on top and the degree on bottom, just like before. Now, the degree on top is 2, and the degree on bottom is also 2. So they're equal again. So that means we're going to look at the ratio. And if I just look at the first 2, and this is how we get it, this is what we mean by the ratio. So if they're equal, we just take a look at the first 2, x squared over x squared. Therefore, y equals 1. Next, we want to see if we cross the horizontal asymptote. And remember, to see if we cross the horizontal asymptote, take that 1, set it equal to your equation. Now this time we're going to cross. So when I cross multiply, I get x squared minus x minus 6 equals x squared plus 3x minus 4. The x squareds cancel, of course, but we're going to bring the x over here. We get 5x equals, where is that going to be? Negative 2. So x equals negative 2/5. So that's actually a point on where it crosses, and it crosses at the x value, negative 2/5, and the y is going to be 1. Now again, there is no slant asymptote, and that is of course because we have a horizontal asymptote. So we go to the next one. What's our x-intercept and our y-intercept? So to get the y-intercept, we let x equal 0. So if I let x equal 0, I go y equals, this becomes 0 plus 0 minus 4, 0 minus 0 minus 6, and I get 2/3. So we get the point 0, 2/3. And lastly, we get the x-intercept. Let y equal 0. So if we let y equal 0, we get 0 equals x squared plus 3x minus 4 over x squared minus x minus 6. And of course, if I cross multiply, that just goes to 0 equals x squared plus 3x minus 4. Factor, we get x minus or plus 4. We've already had this factor beforehand. X minus 1 equals 0, and I get negative 4 and 1. So our 2 x-intercepts are going to be negative 4, 0, and 1, 0. And now we're ready to graph it. To get all this information, we're ready to graph. So this is probably like the longest one. So if I graph it, remember, 2 things you need. You need asymptotes. We have those. X equals 3, x equals negative 2, y equals 1. You need any points that we found along the way. We found that it crossed at negative 2, 5, 1. This is where it crosses. Remember that. So I identify that, and I have the intercepts.
Cassandra Rogers, please call 7000. Cassandra Rogers, please call 7000.
And so we have a lot of information here that we can graph. So when I graph the intercepts, we have 3, negative 2, and y equals 1. Any points that I have? It crosses at negative 2/5, 1. So that's where it's going to cross at. That's going to help us. 0, 2/3, negative 4, 0, and 1, 0. Alright, so to graph this one, very easy to do. Now, the function, remember, always goes towards the asymptote. So if I start here, it's going to go down, and it has to go through down the asymptote. Now, it crosses. Since it never crosses again, it's going to continue on its way up. And if we look back at the multiplicity of our vertical asymptotes, they're both M1. And remember, since they're both M1, that means if I'm going up here, on the other side, it must go down. And we kind of got that right here because we're given this point. But if this side goes down, the other side must go up. So where are we going to put that? Right up there. And there's our graph. And these are our graphs. So that's part 3. We're going to take a look at a few more examples tomorrow in class. Make sure you're ready for this, okay? Thank you.